up? It's Sharp here with Kicked Out of 2 Dynamite review for AEW Dynamite Road Rager, live from Miami, July 7th, 2021. Per usual, I'm joined with Quags and Chris. How you guys doing?
Good. 7-7. Good time to rage on the road.
Can't beat that. Can't beat that. All good.
We were just talking about a lot of theme shows right in a row, 4 days in a row, or 4 weeks in a row, rather, but guess they're trying to start out hot, on the road.
Yeah, back on the road, starting out hot. Can't fault them for that.
And you know what? What better way to start out hot with a South Beach strap match between Cody Rhodes, QT Marshall. Ended in about 12 minutes after 3 crossroads and 4 corner touches. What did you think, Chris?
Honestly, I didn't think this was that bad. I actually thought this was a solid start to the show. Everyone and the fans made it better. They got really into it, and a strap match is like, it's not easy to pull off without looking kind of corny or cheesy or whatever and faulty. It's just sometimes it just comes off lame. It's just like, all right, if you're gonna do it, like even doing like the 4 corners thing, I'm like, they always try and like be like sneaky with this and like, oh, did he touch the corner? It's always clunky like that. But I mean, I'll admit I was like the biggest factory hater. QT is actually very serviceable in the ring. He does a good job. I feel like this feud has gone long enough to the point of like, I think he knew as in like, this is going to be our last go. I might as well go all out on this. They did a great job in a sense of building the match, kind of building the heat and everything. I think the fans actually made it like better. And I liked how it was just decisive. It wasn't like a guy was dragging him. He's also touching the corner too, because that gets so old. And it's just like, oh, the guy doesn't know. I'm like, what do you mean? The guy's literally right behind you. Like, I just liked how like, I kind of like, probably my favorite part of the match was like the ending where Cody like finally gave him like a low blow, as in like, here's all the stuff that you did to me or whatever. He's about to touch him. And then like QT gave him that last ditch effort as in like, no, don't touch it. And then spits in his face as in like, fine, if you're going to beat me, I'm still going to hate you. And then Cody road rages or whatever, does the 3 crossroads in a row, and it made it better that the fans counted along every time it hit the corner. So like at least everyone was involved with it. It would have been kind of flat if no one really cared. So I thought it was actually a solid start to the show. Well, it wasn't bad from what we were building toward like last week's.
Yeah, I agree with that. I thought the ending was really good. The match format is weird. I feel like this is one of those like almost like a ladder match where did they just forget how to climb a ladder, where I'm kind of like, why don't they just run it and try and touch all 4 things right away?
Very quickly.
Every time I watch any type of this match, I'm just like, just sprint around real quick.
Like if you just yank them and you go 1, 2, 3, like you can totally do it. So that was just awkward to me. And I agree, the crowd made this. If this had been with a smaller crowd, I think it would not have landed as well. But the ending was cool. That's kind of all I have to say about it.
Yeah.
I really, to add on to how kind of silly this match type is, I really wish at some point they just have like a 350-pound guy versus like a 170-pound
like
guy,
Marco
and literally
just have
just have the match start and have the guy drag him around and be like, he just can't stop him because he's not strong enough. Because it's silly, but it's definitely old school, and I thought this was a good start. It was good. The crowd is very into Cody. I'm not a super big Cody fan, but the crowd certainly is, and it was a good way to start with his over the top entrance, which I cracked up that QT Marshall did not get an entrance, but you can't have them back. Okay, you're always gonna have Cody come in second billing because he's the bigger star, and you can't have the first time on the road be a QT Marshall entrance.
Dude, the life of QT, man. Just
even when they give him a push, it's not really a push.
Exactly.
But,
right.
It was fun. It was fine. Then backstage, Sean Spears explained why he attacked Sammy until Sammy pegged a chair into his face from off camera. Told him, "Gotcha, bitch. This is far from over."
I like it. I like throwing the chair. I was literally watching this. I was like, whoa. So thought it was pretty funny. Glad they're keeping it going.
Yeah, they need something for them to do. Like, so Sammy, they know, is a future star, and I've been praising this. I know no one's really a Sean Spears fan, but this is exactly what he needed because he was floundering for a while. So we'll see how he goes through here.
I'll say two backstage segments with them in a row that were a little too orchestrated. This one was like 40 seconds long, so it didn't have a chance to be overly orchestrated. So it was fun. I did like just like gotcha, bitch. Even though we don't like the bit, our moratorium on bitch got nixed within like 20 minutes, but
that didn't feel like a forced bitch. It felt like it felt
that was
like
just
organic.
like a silly like,
yeah. It wasn't like, can you believe I'm about to say this?
Yeah.
Oh
my gosh.
Then we had in-ring promo with Shivani interviewing Omega and Don Callis. Don Callis quickly grabbed the mic from Tony per usual. After hearing "You Got Fired" chants from the crowd, Don Callis said, "There's nobody left for Kenny to beat." Crowd chanted, "We want Hangman." Dark Order walked out, and Evil Uno wants to know why Kenny's so afraid of Hangman. Kenny asked him what the capital of Thailand is before kicking Evil Uno in the dick. It's Bangkok. Gallows, Anderson, Nakazawa interfered to help beat down the Dark Order before Hangman came in, dispatched the Elite. He teased the buckshot lariat on Kenny, but Kenny was able to escape with help from the Elite. What do you think, Quags?
Love Don Callis more every day. Great at reacting to the crowd. I love when he said we had to get an entourage just to transfer all the belts, just to carry all the belts around. Evil Uno was good. Calling Callis his weird uncle, I thought was really funny.
That was great.
Yeah. I guess I never really noticed it, but after last week talking about Evil Uno's promos and stuff, I did really get that sense of self and very particularness that he brings. The capital of Thailand thing, it's like, this is more on, are these guys in middle school? Like, what's going on? But whatever, that's fine.
Hated
then,
it. That was stupid.
Also, because like, it's not necessary. Like, just
No.
kick him.
I think I laughed because of how silly it was.
Which is a problem.
I know. It's like
Hangman came out. Let's go. Very exciting. So good segment, and Callis is the star of it in my mind. Everybody else did well, but Callis and actually Evil Uno too is pretty good, pretty solid in this.
I'll say my biggest takeaway from this was, besides the fact that it was a little repetitive from last week, it was pretty much Callis reiterating the points that Kenny made last week. My biggest takeaway was, you can't have a crowd react any more perfectly than they did. They want Hangman. They booed Kenny, even though Kenny is a badass wrestler. Don Callis is a fantastic manager. So you might be delving into he's so good at being a bad guy that we might cheer him. No one's getting cheered here. And they wanted Hangman. They got Hangman. They teased something to come, but they didn't go too crazy with it because that's got to come down the line. They still got a lot of time to kill before the pay-per-view, which this seems like the inevitable pay-per-view match. Overall, I thought it was a really good segment and I enjoyed it.
Yeah, me too. I enjoy this a lot. I mean, the Bangkok thing, like, I laughed at it, but I'm like, why at the same time? But I mean, like, I feel like Kenny's just like funny, but we always talk about him, like that line of being wacky and like being an actual like the star that he is or whatever. I thought the Hangman run-in was great. I like that. Evil Uno, I praise him, saying I think he's very underrated. Him talking on the mic is very distinguished. And then when Hangman came in, everyone erupted. I'm like, this is exactly what they need. I liked how like he stared off at him like before he was going to flip over for that buckshot. I liked how he just kind of stayed there as in like, oh, this is coming. The only thing I'm going to ask, and maybe they'll do it in weeks, so I'm not really going to blame him now, is like, I want them to dive a little bit into like when they were tag teaming for like a year and they were like the best team and they were having great matches, like when they were versing like the Young Bucks. And now that's a very kind of interesting storyline to me. And I think to a lot of people, as in like Hangman was kind of the bad guy in that scenario where Young Bucks and Kenny were calling him out saying, hey, you're an alcoholic. You're like, you're getting like, you're just not part of this group anymore. And they kicked him out because he was being like a jerk or whatever. Now, like the shoes are kind of flipped organically. I'm thinking that's kind of cool to dive into. So I'm not going to flack him now, but I think that would be something interesting if they dived into that.
For sure.
I guess
I'll
is
just add,
when they start cutting promos, my guess is they'll start going into that.
Yeah.
definitely. I just have one more thing. I really like the line Don Callis saying, "Real men don't quit; they get fired."
Yeah.
I don't know, for whatever reason, I thought that was a good line.
He's just
On the
trying to
fly,
figure out, yeah, because everyone's
they're
making
doing
fun
a
of him.
random chant from Impact because I guess in
Yeah.
an Impact storyline he got fired. So, all right. So then we had Jim Ross interviewing Darby Allin and Ethan Page. Jim Ross was disturbed about the concept that the two wanted to end each other's careers. Darby said Page couldn't stand that it took Page 12 years to get to the place it took Darby 1 year to get to. Page said it's true. He's the one who brought up Darby in pro wrestling, though. Ross said he doesn't have a peaceful, easy feeling about this coffin match, and Page said, "Good, you shouldn't." I really like this segment. I thought this was good. The only thing that bothered me about this was the fact that they're staring right across a small table at each other, and they have this kind of animosity towards each other, and there was like no worry that they were going to get physical. I know Darby has to not attack him for a week in order for the match to happen, so that's part of it, I guess. But I loved just the real life, like, Darby Allin has not really been wrestling that long, and he got a lot higher than Ethan Page real quick.
Yeah.
And I really like the Eagles reference, peaceful, easy feeling. And I thought the final line of him saying, "Good, you shouldn't," was a great final line. I'm coming around. I'm definitely coming around on Page.
Told you. I told you. It was only a matter of time.
I don't like him that much.
No, I'm a big fan of Ethan Page. This was good. All I say is that I like the serious tone that they were giving, and I felt like they were talking a lot past weeks, was saying that they had like this feud was like years in the making, and I'm just glad they kind of explained it here, because I'm like, when I was even like, we're all kind of casuals watching it for the first time of them two, I didn't really understand like their behind the scenes feud. I just assumed like, oh, maybe they had a big indie feud and something like that. So I thought it was good that they explained it.
Yeah, I really liked this. I thought this was really kind of rooted in some reality, like a different reality, but really good. And JR saying, I gotta say, you guys are talking about ending each other's careers, and I don't want to hear that. I thought he did a really great job with this little sit down. Yeah, and Paige at the end was like fired up, man. It was good.
Yeah.
Me too. Wait, to add on to that, I really thought Jim Ross was a good like moral compass of being like, hey, I know that we're like, oh, he didn't say this, but some version of like, I know we're in a sport where you guys beat each other up, but I don't like this idea that you guys are
like ending careers and stuff like that. Yeah. No, JR was very good, especially after his snafu. He redeemed himself this week of good interviews and stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Then we had FTR and Wardlow beating Jake Hager, proud and powerful, about 10 minutes when FTR hit Hager with a big rig. After the match, Conan hit Wardlow with the Mad Ball, which is I think pool balls in a sock.
Yeah.
And Tully chop blocked him, and the heels escaped.
I thought this match was good. I felt like this was a good appetizer of like showing like that this soon to be FTR versus Santana Ortiz match is going to be very good. Like, I think people are kind of like warming up to like that match, and like everyone knows that they do this a lot with the Pinnacle and Inner Circle. They'll have Hager and Wardlow kind of build up. Like, I thought that was a really cool part. Like, I always enjoyed that part of the match when like Hager just allowed Wardlow to get tagged in so they could kind of go into that big like big man versus big man fight. So that was really cool. There was this one moment where I was actually impressed by Ortiz where he was good. He was power bombing, I think, like Dax, and they almost messed it up at first, and then he just kind of deadlifted him up and then slammed him again. I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm like, that could have been really bad. So you could tell that these guys are pros. They know what they're doing and everything. It was cool to see Conan with them. I was a big fan of them, and then that was like the whole Impact thing with the new LAX. So that was really cool. The only part I really didn't like at all is when Hager was like kind of running into them in the other team's corner, and Wardlow was just sitting there, and he kept going in, and he kept coming in. He did like a splash in the corner, that he did his Jaeger bomb in the corner or whatever. And Wardlow's just kind of standing there trying to like it. I can even tell he's trying to act like, oh, I missed him or whatever. But I'm like, did you have to do it in that corner? That looks that like I was like, that just looks stupid to me because I'm like, why would the guy like watch you about to slam on like in their own corner? I just thought that was really silly. And I think they just kind of knew that they just picked the wrong corner and like, okay, let's just get through it and just move on. But I thought this was good. I thought it was a good ending of like kind of they just got the numbers game on them, as in like they had totally distract them and they kind of had a quick 3-on-1, so no one really looked bad in a loss from here. And they made Wardlow look like a monster, getting cracked in the head with a pool ball. And JR is like, oh, I didn't even feel it. I'm like, that's very, very hard skull if you didn't feel it. But yeah, we get what they were trying to do.
Yeah, I thought they did a good job using like confusion at the end. I thought the pin was kind of quicker than I expected too. But you know, ultimately it was supposed to be a build. You know, like we were saying to Santana and Ortiz versus FTR. But yeah, I mean, good match. I liked how it flowed and all of that. It was just fun to watch the different combinations of Pinnacle, Inner Circle, like these third parties that are coming in and getting involved in one way or another. I mean, you know, it's been going for a while, and I feel like it's just still going really strong.
I thought this was a really good match as well for a few different reasons than usual. I thought this was laid out in a far more competent, follow the rules way than these 6-man tag matches on AEW are usually laid out, when it's just absolute madness and the ref has no idea what the fuck is going on. And it's like, then why should we care if there's no rules? I think they
Right.
I think they laid it out pretty well. And I really, for a second week in a row after a really good promo, I thought Hager was the star. I didn't notice what you said, Christopher, about Wardlow kind of just standing there, but I thought his hot tag was really good.
Yeah,
I thought he showed a lot of fire. And then at one point when Wardlow tagged in at the end, like near the end, they had like a punch off, like they were just brawling, and it looked real good.
Yeah,
it looked, and which is in AEW, I think that's one of the worst things they do is they can't punch and they can't make stuff look like an actual fight. And for like a quick like 6 seconds, I'm like, this looks like an actual brawl. This is good.
Right. They're relying too much on spots sometimes.
Yeah, Quags, you brought up, and I agree that an ending did come a little bit out of nowhere, but it was fine. It was fine for what it was. And I liked you know what, Hager got a win versus Wardlow the other week, so I think he can take the L on this one with a little bit of chicanery. All right, then we had a Carl Anderson promo challenging Moxley for the NJPW US title while also touting up his history in New Japan.
So I really enjoyed the style of this promo. I feel like whoever, again, produced this did a different kind of job, and good job, and just enjoyed seeing that little bit of diversion. I mean, you don't want to do it too much because then it doesn't look like the same show. But this is cool. And, you know, some of these belts, I'm glad when they bring them in. I mean, you know, I got to be careful about it. Like what show I'm watching AEW. I'm not just watching everything. I don't mind it here and there. And I especially don't mind it when it's to like another guy from the show challenging and they both go over there or whatever. Like that's fine. So that just, I found it to be compelling, and I'm excited to watch that match too. And Moxley's coming back already. Like, seems like he's barely gone.
No, exactly. That's like the one thing I took away from this, as in like, oh, okay, like I'm kind of more of the negative side when they bring in these random belts, but I mean, this was good. Like we know that title kind of means something. They explained it, so I thought that promo was good, and bringing like his history with New Japan, so that was good. The only thing I really took away from it, I was like, oh wow, they're bringing Mox back in, so I'm guessing that like he's coming in or whatever, or maybe it's just a one-off just to have like him on these, like, because they have these big shows in a row, they're on the road, so maybe they were like, hey, we need him at least maybe for one of these big shows.
Well, maybe he's gonna lose, I wonder, so that he doesn't have the belt.
He ain't losing to Carl Anderson.
I was gonna say, come on.
Although Carl Anderson did make it to the finals of the G1 Climax one year where he lost against Nakamura, I believe.
Yeah, he says that in his promos a lot because he knows a lot of people don't know that.
I liked it. I thought it was really good. And
Do you know what I'm talking about with the style? Did you guys like that? Like the different, like the cuts back and forth and stuff, or no?
I didn't
Just
feel
me?
anything quite as different as I wouldn't have thought about that at all until you brought it
Huh.
up. Didn't
It-
stand out to me.
It was good. I was just more perplexed of like why the match was happening. I guess maybe I was thinking more of that when the promo was kind of going on. But I mean, like they also have the Good Brothers on Dynamite like all the time. So then I'm like,
Mhm.
they only have wrestled like maybe twice out of like the whole month or 2 months they've been on. So I mean, like I guess it's good, like saying that, hey, this door is like open or whatever. I'm like, all right, so finally have a match. So that's good.
Mhm.
All right, then we had a Jericho MJF segment. We had a fan attempt to attack MJF, and Jericho was not afraid to throw a punch on him when security stepped in. Jericho said he'll abide by any MJF stipulation, even have sex with MJF's mother again.
Again.
MJF shut up the crowd. He said he loves Greek mythology, and Jericho would have to go through Hercules' 5 labors. He'll have to fight four wrestlers of MJF's choosing with different stipulations for each. Jericho accepted, signed the contract, but MJF demanded Jericho shake his hand like they do in Long Island. Jericho did, but then he pulled him into a Judas effect.
Ooh. Had to see that coming.
No, of
Um,
course.
I watched a couple of videos of the fan today, and
Yeah, me
MJF
too.
gets up, you see
It's always funny.
MJF like pointing him out, like, look,
Yeah.
look.
And Jericho's notorious for fucking throwing punches
Yeah.
at fans. He doesn't give a shit.
Well, and also the guy was huge, so like the security or whoever was right there
Yeah,
on
just
the
holding
ramp
him.
was struggling to get him down.
They did a good
So-
job though of
Yeah.
getting him
Did you
pretty
see
quick.
the video I think I sent you guys? You saw Justin Roberts like holding on to his like ankle,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
dragging
yeah.
him down.
yeah. Okay, so the actual content, yeah, just really strong. I mean, good back and forth. It can get a little cornball with Jericho talking about having sex with people's moms, but whatever. I actually really liked MJF being like, I really like Greek history and getting into all of that. I thought that was, at some point maybe that he's looking to expand the character and to not just be like actually having some knowledge like that, and something that like, oh, I actually love history and I'm really into it and I'm really cultured. So I enjoyed that. What a crazy path just to wrestle MJF, but okay, whatever. Gives them a bunch of more opportunities to bring random people in or build the feud with Pinnacle and Inner Circle more. What if Jericho just like loses the second match?
That's
and
it.
Wait,
That's honestly
step
what
in.
I thought about that.
Let me step in real quick because he specifically didn't say Pinnacle. You have to verse all the guys from the Pinnacle.
Mhm.
It seems like it would be, but he said 4 people of his choosing, I think, or something, which is interesting to me.
I think it's not going to be Pinnacle,
No,
at least
I don't think
in
so
parts. And maybe it'll be MJF says if you beat Jericho, you can be in the Pinnacle. Maybe Jericho at some point
that's a
goes,
good point.
what do you mean? I beat all these guys and the only one left is FTR. Or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
And
Put some
MJF is like, nope,
or-
it's not him, it's Andrade or whatever. I don't know.
that could be interesting. And also it kind of would, especially the Pinnacle just kind of forming and then getting traction. It would kind of stink that like, hey, we have one guy that's just beating everyone. So maybe like that's not the best route to like go to or whatever. But I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
I'll do
It gives
the
them
Wardlow
more
cage
room.
match again, and maybe we'll get that one again like he did last time. I can see him doing
Yeah,
that.
gives them more room to be creative with what happens.
Yeah.
I will say he referenced Jericho bringing in making Moxley fight a bunch of guys, and they did bring in Jeff Cobb, who's now in New Japan. So you could do something where MJF brings an outside person in as like a mercenary,
Yeah.
where you can just have a one-off where they get beaten, which I love that idea, to be like, oh my God, they're bringing this killer from this other company, or some version of that I think would be cool. And like you said, Quags, I think you could do a fun storyline where it's like MJF pep talking someone backstage, like, you'll be in the Pinnacle if you take out Jericho, and then obviously they're not going to win. But it's always good stuff.
Yeah.
No, this was good though. Like, but I was kind of flacking on this last week. Not flacking on it as in I was excited, but I was worried that like, oh, they're just gonna kind of be repetitive because he made Cody do a bunch of things. But now I'm kind of more along. I think I'm switching kind of roles on this. I actually kind of like this now. That it kind of is adding to MJF's character a little bit. It's actually making him more of a star, as in like, hey, you have to do all these things just to face me. As in like that's making him so much more of a big deal than just being like, oh, okay, next week you'll be versing MJF. Like it's so much more different of like they highlight this late, and I think it's pretty cool. Quack was saying before, like the Greek mythology history and like they call it like you could tell that they really put a lot of thought into it, as in like, hey, they call me the demigod, so like we'll do like the labors thing and like labors of Jericho. That's really cool and stuff. But like I know further in the show they did the MMA thing, but like this whole Conor McGregor fight that everyone's like really tuning into, he always talks about saying, yeah, everyone needs to work to fight me. And I feel like MJF is getting that kind of rub, as in like, hey, you need to do this to fight me. And I feel like that's making him way bigger of a star than just him like just beating guys in a match. I think they're doing that phenomenally. So I think I'm going to kind of flip the script a little bit, saying actually I enjoy when he's kind of like putting people like through this to make his character more heelish and a bigger star.
I really like this a lot. Maybe
when you take that pause, I never know if you're gonna say you liked it. Or
yeah, you kind of had me on my edge of my seat.
Well, no,
like, are you gonna make me feel like an idiot for praising this?
The Greek mythology part, I was like, oh, okay, but like I like the setup. I like that he has to verse all these guys. It's a fun hook. But there was a bunch of stuff actually in this that no one brought up that usually when you go third, you don't get to talk about like an original thing. Exactly. I loved MJF saying Jericho's no longer in the key demo because like whatever something good. 49. I loved Jericho shutting down Y2J chants. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Yeah, he's very good at shutting down like when people are into old niches, as in like, hey, it's dead. We're in this new thing now. It's a very smart way to go.
And I really admire it. Like, look forward. Don't rely on my nostalgia stuff. Even though he's like a 50-year-old guy, he's not ready to be like resting on his laurels and just relying on different things he did in the past. And I was like, no doubt Quags will bring this up, but you did not. He said he will get hit by a Mack truck this week. The last week he said he wouldn't get hit by a Mack truck.
I know. Oh shoot! I didn't write it down. Yeah. I did say that.
I didn't read about. I was watching. I was just like, "What is this Mack truck?"
He flipped. He flipped on his Mack truck. That should just be the stipulation. You have to get hit by a Mack truck.
Yeah.
And
no, you're right.
Maybe my only criticism about this, which I could be convinced that it wasn't a bad thing. MJF sold the hell out of that Judas effect, but that's like Jericho already getting revenge. That being said, they've already fought each other enough where it's like, a lot of times you're like, I can't wait to see this person get their hands on this person, but they've already fought so many times that maybe it's like, what is his ultimate revenge though? I don't really like beating him in a match. It has to be like an actual match.
You're getting really meta. For me, it's like, it was a little too easy, the Judas effect thing. Like, I think it was a quick and easy way to pop the crowd and, but yeah, it shouldn't be so easy to take out MJF. Like, he should have people with him in the ring signing the, making sure
like why did he want to shake his hand if he didn't have a plan?
He wanted to,
because he's like from Long Island.
It's like a mental thing, as in like, hey, I threw you off this cage, I'm putting your life through hell, but still like you have to shake my hand.
Fair.
It's like I actually didn't mind that as much, because like I feel like when he gave him the Jewish effect, it shouldn't be that easy to like knock him out. Or it's like you want payback. Like there's so much more that he wants to do than just that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
But what else does he want to do? Hurt him more, right?
Yeah. He wants to hurt him.
So like that moment, just hit your finisher on him. What more is there to do?
No, yeah, I get that. It's just like it's a pop for that, like the crowd, especially on the road and stuff. But I will say, at the beginning, real quick, that fan run-in made it so much better. Like, I even texted you guys saying like AEW was probably pumped. I was like, look who we got. Yeah, I was just like, they played it off well. They're pros. MJF made it a big deal. I was like, hey, if one of you fat slobs want to come over, we'll do that.
White trash.
Something like that. I thought that made it actually a lot better.
Yeah. All right. So then we had Tony Schiavone pre-tape with Britt Baker. Britt said nobody wanted to see the match last week, and Tony Khan should be ashamed for putting Reba in unsafe working conditions, which instantly made her a big face in my mind. She said she gave Tony Khan gave Vicky the match so Vicky bring in Andrade. So enjoy your blood money. Maybe they can work in Saudi Arabia next. At Fyter Fest, she'll beat Nyla, send her back into obscurity. She'll turn Dallas, the Big D, into the Big DMD. We're in a weird position right now with her where is she a heel or is she a face? But I thought this was a great promo. I didn't quite get the connection between like Tony doing Vicky a solid to make that match, and then because he wanted Andrade to be brought in, that was a stretch. And you can say what you want, and we do quite often, where I don't like the little brother syndrome of bringing up WWE. But this, in my opinion, is a situation where even a lot of WWE fans are uncomfortable with their relationship with Saudi Arabia. So you could be like, yeah, you know what, fuck that. Like, they shouldn't be working with that.
That's more of like a world reference more than like little brother, big brother, like syndrome. Like that was very appropriate.
Yeah, she's not doing Adam Cole any favors.
No. Imagine he's probably gonna imagine if he takes loss after loss. Yeah, no, he's probably watching. He's like, why'd you do that?
Chris, go ahead.
I mean, like, this was a great promo. The only thing I wish is just if we knew who we're supposed to be cheering and who we're supposed to be booing, that would made this promo great. Even if she was the bad person, like I would have like kind of then took her connotations as like, okay, she's supposed to be the heel. But if she's supposed to be the face, this is like supposed to be very good. Either way, the promo was very good. It pushed a lot of lines. And she didn't hold back at all. Like I was like shocked of like even the Saudi Arabia reference, but then like other references too. Like, did anyone catch this, or maybe it's just me? And I'm thinking like, you know, when she said like, oh, we're going to Dallas, the Big D. And I know she said like it's going to turn into the Big DMD. Do you guys know what I'm saying that she said before it, or no? Or
Big Dick, like Big Dick.
Yeah, but did you hear what she said? She's like, yeah, Big D. I wouldn't know anything about that. Referencing Nyla Rose.
Doesn't have a...
Okay.
Oh.
No, that she used to have a penis?
That's what I took it as when she said that. Yeah, dude. Okay, so I'm telling you, she said like, okay, she looked down. I'm telling you, watch it again. She looked down. She's like, oh yeah, we're going to Dallas, the Big D. And looked down. Is like, I want to know what that.
Whoa.
That's what I'm saying.
She did say that. That is not.
That's rough.
Smart. I looked at that, and everyone's talking about the Saudi Arabia thing. I was like, is no one going to talk about the Big D thing? And I was just like, that was very, very like.
Yikes.
Yeah, that like.
No good.
Wait, I gotta watch that back.
Maybe it was just me that maybe I like took it a different way. And I was just like, I hope I'm taking it a different way, or I hope like she got permission from that or whatever, because that is like a line you don't touch. Again, like we promote this show as in like all comers, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like anyone can watch or whatever, but like that was
no.
the line.
I did not. I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, and maybe she did talk to Nyla, but yeah, that's wild. If you're right. Yeah. I was like, yeah, they called Dallas the Big D. That's not weird.
Yeah, I'm in fourth grade, and I'm like, guys, did you know what they call Dallas?
Yeah, I was like, penis.
Yeah.
Well, who knows? Hey, what's the capital of Thailand, right?
No, yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, bring that back, Wags. Come
on. So that's so bad. I mean, that I don't know about. I thought it was awesome, though. I did audibly gasp when she was like, why don't you go to Saudi Arabia? I was like, oh, damn. Okay. Yeah. Interesting to bring Tony Khan in that way. Right. It is kind of a stretch, right? Like with the Andrade, like I can see how it works on a whiteboard, but or like whatever her note cards that when she's like thinking, what should I do for this promo? But I don't know that totally makes sense. And Tony Khan seems like such a face. It's really hard to make him seem like, you know, that way. But I don't know, whatever. Yeah, I mean, it was good. She's just crazy to watch her progression. Where she was and where she's come.
All right, so then we had the in-ring debut of Andrade El Idolo, making his debut against Seidel. Beat him in about 8 minutes with his I think it's El Idolo is his finisher, face crusher type move.
Mhm.
After the match, Andrade used wrist tape to armbar Seidel.
Uh, this match was good. I think you guys hit the nail on the head when I was actually arguing with you guys about it first, and then you guys convinced me. It was great that he was actually paired off with Matt Seidel. I was like, wow, this made him look like such a star because they need someone to like a Matt Seidel make this guy look good, and he looked legit. Like he looked big too. I was like, maybe it's just because he's compared to Matt Seidel, but either way, if they build him correctly, I think he's going to be a star. I thought the crowd was excited for him. And I thought even like one point in the match, Seidel was even mad and yelling at his name because everyone was yelling out Andrade's name. So I thought that was like pretty nice, as in like, oh, okay. He's like, I'm supposed to be the baby face, but clearly I'm not. But I mean, like everyone was expecting just to have a good match. They both can go in the ring. So I think that was very good that he can go in the ring. And I was a big superhero fanatic as a kid. So I knew when he came in, he kind of came in this Black Skull character, which was like in the I think like the Captain America like comic books and stuff like that. So that was pretty cool. He kind of came in like his own like a little comic book character or whatever he did. I just like that he made an entrance out of it, not just kind of what he's been doing, just coming out saying like, "Hey, I'm a star" or whatever. I kind of like that he's kind of trying to go a little bit above and beyond. I like his pairing with Vicky. I even like the random other guy that just hold on his clothes. It looks like he's a star in the making if they build him correctly. And like obviously I know later in the show we got a surprise, but like I'm okay with these WWE guys coming into AEW if it's appropriate. Like we knew that WWE like laid off a lot of people. It would be really upsetting if they hired every single person. Like, yeah, I hope everyone obviously lands on their feet, gets good jobs, pays, and all that stuff. But like for a good show, why like don't be that watered down show saying like, oh yeah, come down here, and like you're just a watered down version of WWE. You can't do that. But I feel like Andrade was a solid pickup for them.
Yeah, I agree, and I think I totally agree with not wanting to bring in too many WWE people. And yeah, we'll get to the surprise, but this has been Andrade's been well executed. I loved his gear coming out. He just looked so scary.
Mm-hmm.
That was really awesome. At one point, he did this kind of double flip thing pretty early in the match, I think.
Yeah, that was awesome. That's
and
his thing.
and that was like a great standout move to execute early on to be like, yeah, I'm here, let's go. Yeah, it was solid, really delivered, good debut.
All right, I've been the most high on this guy, and I did not think this was a great debut. I thought the mask was cool. He kind of used to. I mean, he used to wear a mask back in the day before WWE, and this is delving almost into his Los Ingobernables stuff with Naito and stuff, where they walk in with suits, even though his was almost like a pull-off. Like it wasn't even like a real suit. I hate the Vicky pairing. I hate it. I think it lessens him. Vicky Guerrero as a human being, I've listened to her on so many podcasts, and she could not seem like a better human being. I don't think she's good in any capacity in wrestling at this point. And I'm sorry, I just don't think if you maybe use her backstage a little bit, and I feel like it instantly lessens him. I thought Seidel looked better than him in this match. I thought he looked a little lethargic. It wasn't like that bad. It was a fine match, but for a big debut, it was almost like a 50-50 8-minute match against Matt Seidel, who's 5 in the rankings, but we joke about him all the time. He's not a 5 ranking type guy.
That's a ceiling.
That's the problem, though.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is that the company views him as in like, hey, he's a top 5 guy. Where I was shooting about this last week, saying I'm like, why? Like, why this isn't a big deal? Why is this? I'm like, why is this guy number 5? I know.
But listen, that's fine to versus number 5 guy, but then you got to run through him. You got to win. You got to dominate 80% of the match if you do that. And he didn't. And he also was wrestling in pinstripe weird pants. He just looked weird. I don't know. I didn't like it.
I didn't hate that. I'm more excited for what you used to tell me about the Ingobernables like kind of role, because I feel like that's what WWE kind of took away from him, as in like, hey, you got to get away from that. So I'm kind of excited. Hopefully he does more of that, because I haven't seen that. I know you have. And you said it's like, oh, that's really good. So I kind of like the whole suit thing, whatever. We'll see. Maybe we'll see this Vicky thing. I like it and you don't. We'll see. I am worried more. It's more about the broken English aspect of it. That's
To
where
that,
I kind of want to see.
that doesn't bother me at all. And to add
It's
on
just-
real quick, I like the mask, but I've seen other people be like, oh, that's the mask from blah blah blah. There was a Batman comic, and I'm like, oh, fucking enough of this comic book stuff. I'm so sick of comic book stuff in wrestling.
Our first inter podcast.
Oh
Hard-
my
hard
gosh,
lash
dude.
out
Get with the
against comic
times,
book
Eric.
stuff.
Get with the times. Luke, just to
you
give you
all-
some flashback, Eric was never a fan of this. Never a fan. He was always just this big bully, as in like, why are you guys liking this stuff or whatever? Eric was just never a fan of this. He doesn't appreciate it as
Watch
a
the
kid.
Marvel movies. They're good. They're fine. I don't need that much comic stuff in my wrestling.
Ask
too
ask
much of
him.
it
Ask the
already.
300 million other people that find it a little bit different than they find these Marvel movies
So,
quite good.
I know.
So back to Andrade.
No, I
back to
just said I like
Andrade.
the Marvel movies.
I think you all often bring up things that then later I'm like, oh, okay. So I'll watch out for this now. I mean, right. If it's a recurring thing, maybe he had ring rust. Maybe they were like, well, we can't make Matt Sydal look too bad. Then his next opponent won't matter. But
Right.
Point taken.
I think he's going to be the barometer. I think it makes sense because Eric, I will say you're right. I wish he kind of did just breeze through him. Like, why is this actually a match? It was a good match.
His
but I'm like, why
finisher
is this match?
sucked. His
I
finisher
know.
freaking
I was actually going
sucked.
to just say that, but I was like on a rant of how good it was. So I
Some
didn't want to end it
weird,
off.
like hammerlock. I know he had a hammerlock DDT in WWE. That at least looked better than this weird face
Eric,
buster.
come on.
For someone who can
say
do
this every episode. Who has the hammerlock DDT as their finisher?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what you're
It's
referring to.
Ty Conte, the DD Ty, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how
exactly
unmemorable it is.
DDT.
Yeah, I know. But that's exactly
You're
what I
like
thought when he did that.
Andrade, you can't have the.
That's what I thought in my
Like-
head. I was just like, you're telling me that like he can't have his stupid DDT finisher, which wasn't even that good from the start. I wasn't even a fan of it. And then I see this flatliner thing. I'm like, well, why does he have that? I'm like, oh, it's definitely that Ty Conti girl. I'm like, you
Ty
gotta be
Conti.
kidding.
Backstage, he was like, hey, do you mind if I take it? And she was like, no. No.
Imagine she's like, no, sorry. And imagine he's like, why did you say no?
Tony Khan's
Yeah.
like, Andrade, we gotta talk, brother. Even that hammerlock move into more of a face buster.
He's like, can you just change it? He's like, all right, it's weird. I don't know. I'm like, why doesn't he just do like some kind of lucha libre move?
I
Like,
don't
why is
know,
it like the
dude.
hammerlock
I don't
thing?
know.
I don't get why that's a thing. Like, why, dude?
All
Like,
right, room,
Vicky,
we're
do a frog
incomplete.
splash. Do a frog
Incomplete.
All
splash.
right, yeah. Let's
Room
move
for
on from
improvement.
Andrade.
Yeah.
All right, promo package focusing on Christian, Matt Hardy's contentious past and their
Oh
upcoming
my
match at
gosh.
Fighter Fest.
Maybe-
What'd you think, Quags?
Can we go back to
Here-
Andrade?
Here's what I wrote, and here's what I wrote. This is all
Mine's
I
gonna
wrote.
mine's gonna be exactly the same as yours.
It's just capital Y, capital A, capital W, capital N.
Uh, mine's pretty close. Mine was this was fine.
Yeah,
Honest-
right.
Honestly, when they said there was one line, oh yeah, I remember. I wrote it down because I remember I got so like enraged by it. They said I just put so I was like not excited for this at all, and I could tell that they're just both trying to prove to everyone like, hey, we could still go. But when they said the line of like, this is 23 years in the making, I had the biggest eye roll in the world. I was like, give me a break. No one cared about this at all. No one looked at this like, oh, imagine 20 years ago. Let's see if these two guys go at it
This
down the
would
line.
be an opening match on a WWE Unforgiven 2002 pay-per-view.
Very, very accurate.
Or like a Sunday Night Heat match, yeah. I mean, it
Oh
was
yeah,
fine,
Sunday
though.
Night Heat main event, but
Yeah,
like, can't wait
was
for this
fine.
to be over.
I'm just
honestly.
want Christian to do other stuff and want Matt Hardy to turn into something else.
I'm
All
thinking,
right, so then-
yeah.
Then we had, let's just get away.
Get away.
Then we had a Arn Anderson promo in ring. It was interrupted by Blackout and the debut of Tommy End, aka Aleister Black, aka Malachi Black. Black hit Arn with the black mask, a lot of black. Then goaded Cody into getting close enough so he could hit Cody with a black mask of his own.
I'm excited he's there. I don't want to see them keep hiring people though. I guess they have a new show that they're gonna have, and they need some talent to be able to put on there. And I don't know if it's going to be, probably won't be totally separate, but basically need to give people airtime. But yeah, I mean, he's cool. He's awesome wrestler that I don't think got his enough oxygen in WWE, obviously, despite them like, you know, giving him all kinds of oh my gracious, I can't think of the word, vignettes and all of that and promos and everything.
Of him just rambling and saying like dark, like
it was stupid. Like
it's just funny. Like just let him
wasn't going
wrestle.
anywhere.
Just have him wrestle.
Yeah.
So I think that AEW will correct for that. We'll see where it goes, but it's exciting he's there. I don't know why his name's Malachi Black. Obviously, I think we're all gonna say that.
Let me speak on that real quick. I couldn't stand the fact that he came in and they said, "Oh, that's Bubba, that's Tommy End," and JR did a good job of kind of saying like, we don't even know what to call him at this point. And then Excalibur's just like, "It's Malachi Black," and it's like, how the hell do you know that? Like,
so just to add that tidbit in real quick, Eric, and I don't.
In like a stupid YouTube video where
yes, that's what I was saying.
Black now.
Yeah, I watched
None
it.
None of us know that.
Yeah, but yeah, I didn't. No one knew that. I had to watch it today because I couldn't even. I was trying to type in the notes. I'm like, I thought my TV was going a little array, as in like I couldn't even understand what he's like Malachi or Kalamai or whatever. And I was like, what is he saying?
I love that they teased the lights going out earlier in the Cody match and said that there was weather issues because then did you guys notice that?
Wow. No, so that's great.
That's why I wanted to ask, because when I watched the beginning of the show, I actually thought it was another technical error. And I actually looked at like in my head. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like they can't like we rag on AEW of having like the pyro issues or like it's just like could come off as like pretty unprofessional. I'm like, you gotta be kidding, like at the beginning of the show, but now it made sense.
I think it was super smart. That was a really cool idea. I really like Tommy End. I think he's crazy talented. I'm not generally like a huge fan of like dark brooding characters. But I thought this was a good debut overall. And I think I absolutely agree with both of you in terms of don't pick up a lot of WWE guys, but so far, not all of them, but the last few people they've picked up, I would very much agree with. I read some review where some guy was like, "Let's hope it's Buddy Murphy next." Where no way. But Black is cool, and the funny thing is, like most people have a 90-day non-compete clause, but he was previously in NXT and then he moved up to the main roster for a while, but they never changed his over to a 90-day from a 30-day. So he had a 30-day and they fucked up WWE.
I wanted to ask you guys about that. Like it's some clerical issue. They just forgot to change that. I imagine like he probably noticed immediately. He's like, okay. He's like, I gotta sign this immediately.
That's really
funny. It was a good debut. I thought it was a good debut.
Very good debut. Thought the lights thing in the beginning of like when I got annoyed in the beginning and then I watched and then seeing this, I'm like, oh, that made it so much better. I did think it was like, I thought everything was great. And I was talking, like, we were just talking about like Andrade and Tommy End coming in. These are solid pickups, great pickups by them. The negatives though, I will say, I thought it was a little lame that like he just kicked Arn right in the face, but then like Cody comes in, starts yelling, mouthing off at him. And then like, they're both kind of agreeing like, oh, okay, we won't like fight each other. Then he kicks him in the face. I'm like, you just kicked like your head coach of your faction in the face, like, and you don't want to fight
Cody him. Cody looked pretty stupid in that.
Little Trump a little bit there. But like, yeah, and then like the what you were just saying before, like I always say Excalibur is like my favorite announcer, but he does do this all the time, and it's not his fault. He's probably like was told and to do this. He does explain very well because he's very knowledgeable of like who the person is immediately. And I think maybe this would have served better if everyone just started chanting Tommy. And then this YouTube video that I just watched today, like this would have been better if I watched this before, or if maybe AEW promoted this online video, like have him come in, kick Cody in the face, and then next week introduce him as this character, as this name or whatever. Don't try and rush it in a like on the announcer table where like, because everyone's excited. JR is trying to say something. Everyone's trying to like, everyone's like, and then the crowd's reacting. It's just like, you didn't need to say his name. Everyone knows this guy's face and they're all chanting Tommy at the end anyway.
let me add on to that too. This is like the something like the 25-year like of the NWO. When Scott Hall and Kevin Nash randomly appeared there, they knew who they were, but they had like a "what is he doing here" type of thing.
Yeah.
Where in this situation, you're not like, well, that's Malachi Black. I versed him in Germany. Blah blah blah
No,
blah.
yeah.
Excalibur, Jesus Christ, man. And I thought Jim Ross was like trying to save it, but like,
Yeah. It was too many cooks in the kitchen at that point.
Yeah, it's a good point. If you can't say the name or you don't, like, who cares? Like, and the fact that the crowd was chanting Tommy, it's like, release the video the next day or whatever.
Yeah, because he
and
says
a little bit of confusion for the viewer at home. If you're like a little confused and the crowd is going nuts, you're kind of like, whoa, who is this guy? Like, there's nothing wrong with that to not know immediately.
Right.
This is him. He trained in the Netherlands. He's a kickboxer by trade. Like all right, come on, save that for a little later.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, and I preach so much how like Excalibur is my favorite announcer, but this is like something where maybe he needs to dial back on. And a lot of the old school guys
Not being overly analytical and getting more into the entertainment.
Do less. Yeah,
yes,
do less.
Yeah. Less is more. But going off your point, real quick point of you were just saying this like dark character. It's actually, I think, is okay that he's kind of like more of like kind of that darker realm character, because they don't really have that. They originally had the Dark Order was supposed to be Darby Allin. Yeah, he's
Sting.
Yeah, but no, I don't view. Okay, so here's my thing.
Abaddon.
Okay, we're not even talking about.
All right, now you're going off.
Now you're just trying.
This one woman who wrestled like weeks and weeks ago.
Yeah, it was a zombie, the zombie lady. Sting and Darby are like pop culture, like not Darby. He's not there in the realm of Sting yet, but like they don't need to have like out of this world like belief. It's like we know who Sting is, we know who Darby is. They like Darby's like the kind of the punk rockish guy, outsider or whatever, and Sting is kind of like that loner type who's like taken under his wing. Tommy is just like, hey, like if I watch the video, he's like crazy. This guy's possessed by like the devil. Like it's unrealistic, but like that's what I mean by like kind of like that dark realm, as in like, hey, it's unrealistic, but they don't have that character. Darby and Sting, that's not really unrealistic. That's just who they are.
I got a feeling I'm not going to enjoy this Malachi Black, but let's move on. We had a clip of Ricky Starks before Dynamite in ring. Starks had security because he couldn't trust someone like Brian Cage. Taz came out and said he didn't approve of what Starks was doing. Starks said he's going to party after his victory next week against Cage. Where he comes from, the W in FTW stands for wife, specifically Cage's wife. Cage charged the ring, beat up security guys, and I think Starks got out of there. I don't know. I wasn't really paying that much attention to this segment, to be honest. But I thought it was good mic work by Starks. I was a little confused because Taz actually acted face-ish in this by saying like, hey, I don't like what you're saying, but I think that's just for us to think that he might be kind of a good guy, and I think they're definitely going to screw Brian Cage, do like a joint beatdown of him, and have Starks win next week. He's just getting back, but I think Starks is ridiculously good, personally.
Yeah. My takeaway from this, I mean, besides what you said, is Brian Cage is just so huge. I think he's the biggest person I've ever seen.
He's big, man.
But I've stood next to him in person, and he's only like 5'10".
He's a thick boy.
Yeah, he's thicker. Yeah.
He's big, man. He's big.
Not that 5'10" is short, but it's
not, Eric.
Relatively normal. Yeah.
But I thought this actually was good. Like, yeah, I was actually kind of confused when Taz came in. But I actually like that I think he's so great on the mic. And I actually kind of like that it left us viewers a little bit more of like, oh, is it going to go this way, as in like Cage might stay in Team Taz, and maybe it's because Starks really doesn't, like, Eric, you're really high on Starks, and me too, but I think you're probably the biggest favorite out of all of us. He doesn't really need anyone to be a star. I don't think he needs Team Taz. So like that could be kind of interesting of like maybe he wins the belt and he quits the group, and it kind of, I don't know. You could do a lot of things. You have like you could even say Cage wins it. They do give him a beatdown, whatever. But I really enjoy Taz on the mic here saying like, this is embarrassing. Like, it's making it realistic because it is embarrassing. You guys are supposed to be a group and you having security or whatever to block your own like group member and stuff.
I also just think that airing clips of things that happened before or things that could have potentially happened on Elevation is a smart idea. I think they should do
Yeah.
more of that. If there's something that applies to the actual show that you have to squeeze in a little more. Then we had Orange Cassidy, Chris Statlander defeating the Bunny and the Blade about 8 minutes when Statlander hit Bunny with the Big Bang Theory. Clearly did not want to do man on woman violence on TV in this. They teased it like WWE always does when they do these types of matches, which I get. It's probably not great for. I think it's a turnoff for a lot of people, no matter like what we think. I thought it was a very cleverly done ending with Statlander tagging Cassidy and after getting hit with those nuts, and I think he sold that like $1 million.
Yeah.
And there's not much debate for me. I can't get into Chris Statlander. I think she has such potential. I thought this match overall was pretty clunky, and I don't think it was the guy's fault. I thought
is
both of them were clunky.
Is it the character for you, or and the wrestling, or?
It's both, and I think she has such physical ability, but I don't think she's quite put the pieces together from like spot to spot to put together like a really like intriguing and competent match.
I think that's fair. I mean, I kind of would like to see. So number one, I have a theory that they're going to try and do more intergender stuff in AEW, just because I think we kind of mentioned this last week, but I think there's a place in the market for it, and not necessarily men and women wrestling each other or hitting each other, but just a little bit of that going on. I could be totally wrong, but I know it's more like happening in the indies, and the WWE did that one Facebook exclusive tournament.
Mixed match challenge.
Forgot about that.
Which let me just step in real quick and say, I thought that was a fun, smart idea by WWE.
I agree.
I think Quags hit the nail on the head that there is a market for it. I think you're exactly right on that. The rules, how it goes. There's no man on woman, woman on man, like violence. It's just like the way how the rules are. If a woman comes in, woman comes in.
And every once in a while, you have like Chris Statlander like kick, Blade in the face or whatever.
That's not. But then shouldn't you be DQ'd?
Oh, that's a good point.
But AEW likes to blur the lines a little bit.
Stuff happens all the time.
They make their judgment call.
I know. Wait, but I'm just saying, like, then you could go like people will be like, oh, well, there's a double standard. The guys can't attack the women can't attack the guys, and then you always have to find like spots where you have to orchestrate the woman has to tag the guy in, or the guy has to tag the woman in, or I don't know. I think it might be more trouble than it's worth.
There's plenty to figure out.
Yeah, but I mean, with the way how the flow,
or you can go lucha. Or you can go lucha underground and they full on just have like Pentagon pile driving women through chairs.
Yeah, I don't think we're there yet. Definitely don't think we're there. Yeah, I really liked Orange Cassidy in this match. I did like the ending. But I think it's fair criticism that it was a little bit clunky, and Chris Statlander is like not totally there. Now that being said, she's also like still recently back from total knee like reconstruction, so I'm sticking with her. I like the gimmick personally, and I like that whole little gang. I keep forgetting I was going to wear my best friend's shirt. I got the shirt with them and the with her in the basket and them all on the bicycle. So yeah, but yeah, I think that's fair. I would like to see. Did I say this at the beginning, or did I? I would like to see Bunny do more in the women's division. I feel like Allie Bunny, like I feel like she's talented.
They're starting to build the women like different characters, which they needed because that was the whole problem last year. Is like they only had two characters, and then they would just cycle through different challenges that no one cared about. I'm still on the Chris Statlander boat, probably more hanging on Luke's side than Eric's side on this. I thought the what was it? Oh yeah, the 450 to Blade. I thought that was pretty sweet. Like you don't see women doing that.
Out, Chris. Unless I can just hear you. Oh yeah, now I can hear you.
Yeah. I thought it was just me.
We back. Wow.
You're back.
What was it when like Chris Statlander did that 450?
Yeah.
I
yeah,
thought
that
that
was
was really
good.
sweet. Yeah, and like you don't see women doing stuff on the top rope like too often like that, so that was like really cool.
Mhm.
What I'm thinking is that like everyone knows that Chris Statlander is like a physical specimen and like can really push like in the ring. I think well, when was it? Like it might have been even like 2 years ago or like a year and a half ago where they were building her and then like she had the title match with Nyla and it kind of fell flat. And then that's with the
Yes.
knee surgery thing. I think the company knows that like, hey, this woman's good. I think we have to properly build her up better than what we did before. I don't think we could just rest on like, oh wow, she could like do these gymnastic stuffs. I think we have to do more than that. I think they're trying to correct that mistake that they did like a year and a half ago. Like what Quag said that they put him in this group. And I think that was great. I thought it was a great debut. I don't think we all forgot, but I thought that was like one of the best endings ever. That euphoric type ending where she came
Yeah.
out of like the claw machine and the Pixies were playing. It's just them four. I thought that was a great way for her to get introduced, and I think it's good that she's in this group. And now she's with Orange Cassidy, probably one of the most top over guys in the company right now. So she'll get that rub. And honestly, I thought this was an easy, like, oh, Orange Cassidy's gonna pin Blade, and then like everyone's gonna love Orange. But I think Orange even knows. I think they're all buddies, as in like, hey, I'm really over. I think Chris Statlander it needs the rub on this or whatever, and it kind of makes sense now. So I think her getting this rub, I think, is slowly going to push her into like kind of more of a bigger star.
All right. So then after this, we had Jungle Boy awkwardly receiving his 50 win award.
Yeah,
And we had Tony Schiavone going to interview Dan Lambert of American Top Team. He was seated alongside Jorge Masvidal and women's champion Amanda Nunez. Lambert walked to the ring, ran down AEW. He waxed poetic about the past of wrestling and said AEW is unwatchable. Then Lance Archer kind of had enough of it, ran down, hit him with the blackout. What'd you think? What'd you think, Chris? Number one MMA fan here. So
Oh yeah. Well, first off, just to get the Jungle Boy thing out of the way, that was just awkward, but you could tell that he's going to be like the future of the company because they think he's going to grow into it, like probably get bigger. Like they just know he's going to be the future, so get him on
He
TV.
needs to go to Chris Jericho promo school.
Yes,
Yeah.
not just awkwardly hold a trophy. I would
Yeah.
think he definitely needs that.
Become a jungle man.
Jungle man swinging his fences. The American Top Team promo, I think they're capitalizing. They're in Miami. The Dan Lambert guy, he's a huge pro wrestling fan. But I will admit though, I've told you guys this before. Like when I'm watching MMA, like I'm a big MMA UFC fan. But when I'm watching UFC, I turn on UFC. If I'm watching pro wrestling, I'm turning on AEW. I'm not the biggest fan of when they mix it because it does contradict each other's like show, like product, as in like wrestling has like way more extravagant moves and all that stuff that you don't see in UFC. But then when the UFC guys come in, it's kind of like, oh, but that's realistic when these guys it's not realistic. It's just kind of contradicts what they're doing. But Dan Lambert, and they also did this in Impact Wrestling one time that with
Yeah,
American
that's
Top
what I've
Team.
heard.
And
Yeah.
it was not good. It was just they brought too many these shoot fighters in, and I'm like, yeah, they're great fighters, but they're terrible pro wrestlers, as in like, oh wow, look at their punches. I'm like, yeah, but it's not supposed to be like then you're making the guys who are there in the company look like chumps because like they have work punches or whatever. It just felt flat in the Impact thing. This was fine because I could tell when he was talking. I'm like, I was so worried when he got in the ring. I'm like, oh God, I really hope this isn't like a program where they're going to build this into a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he was just rattling off, I think they're trying to capitalize on the Conor McGregor like fight. That's just a big buzz that's going around. So I'm like, okay. And they're trying to they're having their buzz, Dustin Poirier, having their buzz come in. And then when it just kept rattling off insult after insult, I'm like, oh, okay. And I kind of got relieved. I'm like, okay, they're going to do a run in where this is just going to be a one and done in Miami thing. And then I was actually really pumped. It was Archer. I'm like, oh, this is perfect just to get Archer to come in and just be a monster because I'm a big fan of him. And he actually gave him the blackout. And I'll be honest, because I didn't like the Impact stuff. Dan Lambert did really well selling this, even like he was kind of like frazzled. And then like he was kind of unconscious. And then when he was up in the air, not even getting slammed yet, you can even tell in his face, he's just like, well, where am I? What's going on? And he's just like, and then he got slammed. And I'm like, wow, that's a pretty old guy that's getting slammed like that by a very gigantic monster. And that I thought this was done well. If this was just a one and done thing, which I'm very hoping for, which I think it is.
I think I liked it a lot more than you did. I thought he cut a hell of a promo. I think it might have been almost too good where you could watch this and be like, yeah, AEW isn't that good. Because it was almost like
Uh-oh.
because
Well, we're still
Am I
recording.
here? Am I here?
Now you're here, but your video's gone.
Keep talking. I'll be plugging in a second, but keep giving your assessment, Eric, because I'm shocked that you like this a little bit more.
I thought that he did a really good job of running, like I was saying, running down AEW almost too good, almost like this was almost showing like a Jim Cornette or like one of those type figures going in there and being like AEW sucks, and then us just getting like the thrill of that person getting their ass kicked like by proxy. But I almost disagree with you, Chris, in that I very much agree that MMA, WWE, or like any type of wrestling crossovers in the past have not been great. Almost by and large, they haven't been great. But I would love Dan Lambert to bring like Cain Velasquez in, maybe to verse Archer. That could be a
No.
fun program. I don't know. I think it could
Dude,
be a
did you
fun
see that Lesnar?
crossover.
Did you see the Velasquez Lesnar thing that they
Well, they didn't
speak
even
about
give him a
blood money in
chance.
Saudi Arabia?
But before I say that, I also just love the fact that like Quags, I know you don't watch MMA that much, but that's Amanda Nunes is legitimately the best female fighter of all time, and Jorge Masvidal is a big star, especially in Florida, especially in Miami. So that wasn't just like two cherry picked like lame people.
Yeah.
There. Those were like legit stars. I did not like him getting his ass kicked and then them cutting to them and they were smiling because they enjoyed the segment. They shouldn't they have ran in and helped their guy?
Not for not for a one and done thing. I honestly would have been upset if they were pissed off, and then I'm thinking that they're going to make this into a program. If it was just a one and done thing, they were just laughing like, "Oh, our owner got our ass kicked." Like he's like the owner of the team. He's not even a coach of the, like, you know what I mean? Like, but he's a big he. Like, again, like watching like the program, like he is a very knowledgeable pro wrestling fan of like the very, very old school stuff. So that's cool for him to know that. So like, I feel like I'm not really trying to shit on him because he's actually, I heard, like a cool guy, really into pro wrestling. So that's pretty cool. He's into both worlds. It's just that it's hard, like mixing those two worlds together, to be honest.
I got Pat McAfee vibes that this was like a super fan that really knows the wrestling world, and he did a really good job getting it across. But is that good? Like, do you want this person being involved in your product? What do you think, Quags? As someone who doesn't really like mixed martial arts, I'm actually really intrigued.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. I know Amanda Nunes, so that was cool. Seeing her, I didn't know really anybody else that I was kind of like halfway through. I was like, what's going on? I didn't. I don't think I really understood. And then when Archer came out, I was like, oh, okay. But I was just sort of. This was a moment where I was like, am I supposed to know more about this? For me, honestly, and I get why they would do it, especially now hearing y'all go into the details. Like that makes more sense to me. But at the time, I was kind of thinking like, when is the main event going to start? To be honest,
well, you know, that's a problem though. If the casual viewer is like, you have to be like a legit MMA fan to know who Dan Lambert is for sure. Like, so that is kind of an issue. But they did explain it a little bit. But
this is probably my thing.
A channel changer for some people.
Is that they're going on the road. So this is what I'm thinking. If I was like Tony Khan, we're going on the road. It's Miami. One of the best gyms there, and the biggest, like one of those mega fight is happening this Saturday. And he's probably thinking, we're in Miami. Why not try to capitalize on like this buzz that's happening like this Saturday? So you got us that know this happening this Saturday. We got other people that don't know or not big UFC fans. That's why I'm okay with it being like just a one segment thing. Like, I don't think it killed off like the show. If it was a program, then like, then I'd be worried about people who are like, who is this guy? What is this? Like, and then Quacks literally just said like, I'm ready for the main event now because we're done.
I bet you're right in that is, in retrospect. I think this would just be a one-off. Then we got to what Quags wanted, the main event.
There we go.
Bucks defeating Penta and Eddie Kingston. When they hit Kingston with a double super kick with a mouthful of thumbtacks. tables, tacks, interferences by the Good Brothers, Kazarian. This was madness. I love the Young Bucks denim outfits. I thought they were hilarious.
That was good.
This was a really fun mess of a match. The 450 onto Rick Knox was great, which made me think that the Rick Knox missed 3 count from last week was kind of just a miscue, and I think the announcers just played upon it, like based on knowing who he was. This was fun. I don't think they should do this as much as they do with the thumbtacks and stuff. And I specifically don't think they should take thumbtacks, throw it at someone, and have the fucking thumbtacks fly into the crowd.
No, yeah. They chucked them in their face. Sure, I was like, oh my gosh.
I was like, this is which if there's no one there, it's fine, but don't make sure you don't hurt anyone. But it was fun. It was a good match.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was fun. Some good spots. I mean, when it's a street fight, it was a street fight, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you get to bring in all these different elements and do all kinds of different spots. So that's not just your normal crazy Bucks match. I think you're right about the ref thing. Actually, appreciated them leaning into that a little bit. Right. I don't want this all the time, but it's fun. It's funny. I feel like we say this a lot. Don't really want this all the time, but this is fun. I'm glad to have watched it.
I guess we have. We didn't get it
right.
too much then.
Is this like the Young Bucks' whole career, where it's like people are like, oh, they're annoying, they're obnoxious, like why do they do this, that, and the other thing, and then they're like, yeah, but that was a really good match, and it was really
it was
a little overindulgent. We don't want that too much, and then they do that again and again.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where
come again. Another time?
Yeah, right. That's where I was with this.
Honestly, I thought this match was super fun. I was very excited. Even like just the pageantry of like the guys coming in with their jean shorts looking ridiculous, and like Nick Jackson looked like he was having like a spaz attack when he's like just dancing in the ring when he's coming in. I thought that was so funny.
He is freaking hilarious now with his entrances, where he used to just be so like subdued and look like he didn't give a shit, and it was like, come on guy, you're on television. Now he's just like a polar opposite.
They
hilarious.
Turned such a corner.
Yeah,
they're very good. They should keep doing this, even when they turn back to like good guys, whatever, like still have this like edge to them. Hopefully, like the babyface thing was kind of fell flat. This heel thing's great, and Eddie Kingston is like becoming like one of my favorites. Like as soon as the match starts, even when the streamers are still in the air, he just chucks the trash can in the guy's face. Gets into it. It's just cool like that. I mean, it just makes sense. He's a very realistic, like it's funny because he's paired off with Penta, and like Penta is like kind of like he even bends the rules as in like, oh, it's Lucha Libre stuff. You don't need to follow the rules, which people harp on saying, hey, that's not great, but it does make for exciting spots. And then you got Eddie Kingston, who's like a very realistic promo wrestling type of guy. Like they were doing crazy stuff, like the flip pile driver up the apron through the table was awesome. I liked when Don Callis is on like he's talking and Nick is on the turnbuckle, and Eddie has Matt like in the sleeper, and then the ref is trying to make sure, and he's just like, he's gonna have to make a decision, and then like you think that he's gonna land on his brother, and he just 450s the ref or whatever. Like think about like it's also a little bit unrealistic. Like if you're trying to like just hit the ref, like you would hit him as quickly as possible. Like no, I'm gonna do a flip in the air and slam on this dude as hard as I can. And I always say this every week, but I love it when the Young Bucks do this. Is like when then not even after that point, but then like Eddie and Penta, they hit like their finisher on them, and he's counting. The new ref comes in, and then Nick Jackson again pulls out Nick, by the way, star of the match of just the crazy spaz dances and doing like hilarious stuff. Pulls the ref out. I love when the Young Bucks like just looks so relieved. Like he pulled the ref out, and he's like, oh yes, we did it, we did this or whatever. And then I'm just cracking up as in like they're like, we're that close.
It's so funny to me when they pull the ref and the ref is like, well, we can never know if it was going to be 3 or
no, exactly. Like it's just whatever, and it's just like funny, like, well, we'll never know at this point. But like when they throw the tacks in the faces, like that could be bad if it hits a fan, but when they did it initially, I'm like, whoa, I was like, that could be so bad, like just of what happens. And then like I know they did the tags in the mouth things on the indies, that was like kind of their big thing of like when they're having an edge, but still gruesome, like having Tax and Riley getting kicked in the face. I don't know. I thought this was a very fun match. It was definitely messy to say the least, but like, oh, also, side note, I think Brandon Cutler is hilarious in this role, by the way. And he's trying to
Yeah, he's
spray
funny.
and he's like missing him. And he's like, and he's just a goon, but like he's playing off that so well. And then like even when Kazarian comes in, he's in that powerbomb position. He's just like his face is so stupid. He's spraying like this or whatever. He's like, "What's happening?" And I'm like, "This is." I thought I was like, "Oh my
And I
God,
will
this
say
is-"
the crowd clearly loved the match too. They were
Yeah.
super into it.
that probably would have
Yeah.
made it better for me. But honestly, I think I liked the match more than you guys in this. It was like you guys saying it's like fun, but this was like kind of
No,
like stuff. I thought this was super fun.
yeah, I don't want to make it seem like I'm down on it. I just, yeah, it's fun, but I'm kind of like, I don't know. Sometimes we can see these and they're serious. So I don't
Yeah.
know. That's all.
Yeah.
So was it your rocket of the night, Chris? Rocket
Yeah.
of the night?
Honestly, this was my rocket of the night. I kind of just thought the street fight was fun. I always enjoy Eddie Kingston, and just to top it all off, like we say on every AEW show, you get like a taste of everything, like all ice cream flavors, whatever. They have like this big street fight, then you get your classic wrestling matches, you get your mixed tag team match, you get everything. So that's awesome. Why it makes the show awesome. But I thought the main event street fight, I thought it was very fun in a sense, very messy, but I feel like they kind of went balls to the walls, knowing like, hey, this is our first show, Road Rager. Let's end it off with a bang.
What was your rocket, Quags?
I like the Darby and Ethan Page interview. Like that a lot. So I'm gonna say that one. All three players in that were strong.
I'll go with Jericho, MJF, and I'll go with my anvil was the mixed tag team match. Although there was nothing on this card that I loved. There was a lot of stuff I liked a lot though, but there was nothing I hated either. So my anvil isn't really that big of an anvil. It was fine, but mine was the mixed tag match.
Mine is Hardy and Cage
Yeah.
promo 23.
That's my anvil. My anvil can sink a ship. It could sink a
You
ship.
guys
That's how
are
hard my
fucking-
anvil is.
You guys are gonna be regretting it when they tear the roof
not
off.
even the slightest do I ever feel regret
Nope.
into picking this as my anvil. I can't even begin to tell you how unexcited I am for this. 23 years in the making. Give me a break.
All right, Quags, score from 1 to 10. What'd you give it?
I think just a 7. I think, there wasn't bad. There wasn't anything great. There wasn't anything that I hated. When you just said that, it's exactly how I felt about it. So I'm going to say 7.
I'll give it an 8. I thought it was really, I almost liked everything, but I didn't love anything. So, and just the crowd being back brought it up for me. So 8.
Yeah, the crowd was great.
I was thinking about giving this an 8, but like I was thinking about even an 8.5, to be honest. I'll go in between. Maybe I'll follow Quags on the quarter, between 8.5 and 8.25. Honestly, I liked a lot of the things that were going. I think we kind of forgot like a lot of the beginning stuff, like even before MJF and Jericho, but like the 6-man tag, like Eric, you kind of hit the nail on the head about how that was like done appropriately. Like it wasn't just spot after spot, and like the classic JR thing, like, oh, doesn't matter if you're friends or foes, like someone's gonna be falling on you or whatever. Nope, we lost Eric for a minute, but he would agree with me. Nope, now he's back.
I'm here.
And I thought that match was really done well, the Ethan and Darby thing. And I thought the Kenny promo was like funny with Hangman coming back. I think, Eric, what you said. So actually, forget the quarter. We'll shoot it up to 8.5. Hangman coming back. That's gonna be fun.
All right. Well, I liked when
All
we're
right.
a little more spread out, when we're not all just like 8, 8, 8.
This was an 8 good show. This was a 7, 7.5. Okay, have a good one, guys.
Unless y'all have anything else to add, kick out of 2, Dynamite review.
Subscribe,
See you guys
like,
next
comment,
week.
click on that orange box. Do it all. We know we were off a couple of weeks, but now we're back. So now watch and like.
We're rolling. Yeah, we're rolling.
We got Fighter Fest. We got Fight for the Fallen. We got any other weird names they're gonna bring up.
We got it all, man.
We'll see you guys next week. Thanks.
Yep. Tune in. Take it easy.